Welcome to Comics Bazaar, the channel of comics commentary and arcana. This video features Ghost Rider number 6, cover dated October 1990. The cover is by Mark Texeira, pencils and inks, and it's quite a designy cover. Very obviously what he's going for here is he wants the Punisher skull logo over on top of the Ghost Rider flaming head. And of course we've got the Punisher there wielding double pistols in his two hands. So it's eye-catching because of the conjunction of the two major recognizable symbols for the two different characters. Now, if you're somewhat juvenile and given to bawdy humor, maybe there's an other interpretation available of what's going on in this cover image, but I'm going to leave that over to you, dear subscribers and viewers. Let's open this one up to the splash page. This picks up from the end of the previous issue. This is part 2 of 2. The title of this particular chapter is Do or Die. In the previous issue, we had the Punisher versus Ghost Rider. Now they are in Marvel tradition, about to team up for the remainder of this particular story. The creative team down here: Howard Mackie, writer; Javier Saltares, penciler; Mark Texeira, inker; and Janice Chang coming on board as letterer on the series and bringing some new style to the lettering too, in particular the speech balloons for Ghost Rider. And as always, Gregory Wright on colours and doing a fantastic job. I really love Greg Wright's contribution to this particular Ghost Rider series. And so Punisher here, back to back with Ghost Rider, surrounded by flag smashers, anarchists, and a bunch of youths from the neighborhood who have been given various weapons. They're in a bad situation. Any ideas? Asked the Punisher. Let's turn the page and see what happens next. So Ghost Rider responds and says yes, and then he pulls the chain from off his shoulder and uses it to wreck the weapons of Flag Smasher's men. And Punisher here getting ready with his handheld machine gun to do some damage too. That's that weapon. It looks like an Uzi, but with some special barrel on it. Punisher there saying nice move, lessen the odds a bit. And they're still back to back. Can you do anything else with that thing? Much, says the Ghost Rider laconically. So this is interesting. So we're still seeing the Ghost Rider do interesting and different things in the early issues of the series. So he's swinging the chain around here, and he's able to rip into the floor with it. So that's a deadly weapon. Flag Smasher has seen enough. He exclaims, I don't want any of you killed in a futile skirmish with these costumed buffoons. Leave now. So Punisher there, he's got his back to Flag Smasher. He says, no need for these kids to die just because they had the bad luck to listen to your drivel. The only one who's going to die tonight is you. So he turns around, starts launching off rounds with the machine gun, but Flag Smasher is already gone from the podium and he is escaping on this rope ladder up to the helicopter. So that's a nice little sequence, and he's there smiling and saying, in the past, I've let my ego get the best of me against Captain America. Those encounters have only led to the delay of my ultimate goal. Now I will assume the sneaky tactics of my enemies, the governments of the world, because of course Flag Smasher is an anarchist. So he says off panel here, and by the way, a series of small explosions will begin a few seconds from now. It will look like a gas main explosion, which ultimately it will be. In 20 seconds, this entire warehouse and any evidence that I was here will be gone, as will you be. Goodbye, he says, and then the explosions begin. So we're going to see Gregory Wright do really great work on the subsequent page with oranges and yellows for the explosion. But I really like the kind of the rim lighting here on the two figures. The yellow on the right-hand side, the left-hand side as we look at it, of their figures. It's good stuff. And also the Dutch angle here, curved Dutch angle as well, by Javier Saltares. So let's turn the page, get past the advertisements. You can see it on these pages. The yellows and oranges again, really nicely done. And this is an interesting moment where Ghost Rider, on his mystical bike, turns to Punisher and says, "Get on." And now we're into the Punisher's first-person narration. We infer that it's his war journal. The bike moves, and he can handle it. But will it be fast enough, he asks, heading for that steel door? Will be crushed, fried, or crushed, whatever. And this is an interesting piece. We've seen it before, where the front of the bike can be activate, or can be like dropped down so that it becomes a battering ram in front of the front tire. And so then they just punch right through the steel door. We made it, says the Punisher. It's a really nice sequence. What I like here is these speed lines. I've been pointing it out before. It really is an effective device for conveying speed, the speed of the bike. Also love the angle choices that Saltares is making, both in respect of the images within the panels, but also the shaping of the panels here as well. We're getting these little diagonals too, which makes the layout dynamic. But I really love the coloring on this particular panel by Greg Wright. The yellows here, you really have a sense of how blindingly bright the flash from the gas mains explosion is of the warehouse. So Punisher says to Ghost Rider, he says, "Good going. Now we've got to get a hold of one of those kids if we're to figure out Flag Smasher's plan." So the Punisher's being strategic there. He spots a fleeing kid. The kid didn't go with the others because he's afraid of going into the sewer because of the rats and things down there. I like that little detail. It's very human. So he finds himself in a blind alley. Look at the look of horror on his face. Interesting mark making here from Texeira and the inks. Looks like that maybe he's using a pen here for some of the hatching and cross hatching. Punisher walking down the alley towards the guy. He's shivering there with fear as well. And yeah, love the little tilt of the front wheel of Ghost Rider's bike there as well, and a Dutch angle keeps things interesting. Punisher says very curtly, "Time to answer some questions, son." And like, his concern for the boy is not at all paternal. So let's turn the page and see this interrogation scene. He's putting the muzzle of his gun right up to the guy's chest. But the guy is staying tough. He says, "I ain't saying nothing. I ain't afraid of you. I'm just a kid. You ain't going to kill me." Punisher here gets in his face and he says, "You and your friends have been offing people all over the city. I won't think twice about wasting you." So the boy thinks he's lying, but Ghost Rider gets off the bike, comes into the scene, picks him up, holds him up against the wall, and gives him a touch of, or is about to give him, it would seem that he was about to give him the penance stare, but he doesn't. The boy insists, "I can't tell you about Flag Smasher. He's crazy. He'd kill me." And Ghost Rider there, I like that close up on his skull, his flaming skull. "There are things far worse than death, boy." So what's going on here? The boy's on the back of Ghost Rider's motorbike. But turn the page and let's see where they are. This is great. Look at that. They're going up. I think it's the Brooklyn Bridge, I think. And I like the little detail, like the flame track of Ghost Rider's bike there tells us that he's riding around, like looping the loop of this, I don't know what we'd call this, but this structural piece of the Brooklyn Bridge. "Where, boy, where?" he's asking him. Now we see them upside down. "I'll tell you whatever you want to know. Just don't do any more." So there, Ghost Rider here launching right off the top of the bridge. I love the little details of the red lights on top of the bridge, so low-flying aircraft and helicopters don't fly into it, at night or in foggy weather or whatever. I just like the fact that Saltares is probably using photo reference and is keeping things realistic here. And that's a lovely shot as well of them flying off over the top of the bridge, and you get to see the docks and wharfs here in the distance. So soon they're back in the alley again, and the boy there is spilling his guts. Tomorrow night, Wall Street, everybody all at once, tons of weapons, tons of kids. We're going to wipe out Wall Street, hit all the banks, everything. He said we'd be taking what's being kept from us. So Punisher here says, you better not be lying, Carlos. So obviously they found out the boy's name. Or our friend will have to take you for another ride and you'll get worse from me. So it's just so funny. So the boy there, he's really traumatized. So he says he ain't lying. He swears, and they're gone. And you see the speed lines as well. So then it's daybreak, and we're going to get a little bit about where Danny Ketch is in his life. He is there in the cemetery. The transformation occurs at dawn. And he's thinking, he's got regrets. I'm tied up with the Punisher. He's supposed to be a criminal. But then again, so is the Ghost Rider. Nothing makes sense in my life anymore. The bike least of all. The things that it does, I don't even need to fill it up with gas. That's a hilarious little detail as well. So he doesn't have to pay for the bike. And it's got its own agenda. So off he rides to work. So we haven't seen him at work, or we don't know what his work is. So it appears to be Park Avenue South Messenger Service. So he's a messenger boy. And there's a news report on here. Oh, I like the detail. Like Park Avenue, you do get these trees on the pavement. So again, Saltares knows the particular avenue in question, or he's using photo reference here. So this TV reporter, she's established in the previous issue, she's taken an interest in the Ghost Rider and has been following and learning about what happened the night before. So here's Danny Ketch at work, sitting around, probably waiting for a job from this guy here. And there's Linda Way on the TV, and she says, our sources have found witnesses that claim to have seen both the Ghost Rider and the known criminal, the Punisher, leaving the site of this warehouse moments before it exploded. So we see the aftermath of the warehouse explosion, the fire trucks there, the ambulances, Danny here aghast at the wreckage and carnage. So he gets on the phone, the payphone there on the wall, to call his mother, because he wasn't home last night at all. And she's there. She's seen the news too. It's terrible. The McCann warehouse blew up last night. Such things are happening. I know you're 18 and I don't want to tell you what to do, but after what happened to your sister. So Danny asking about his sister. The doctors say she seems to be stabilizing, but they're keeping a close watch on her. She asks Danny, will he visit his sister that evening? No, he says he's got things to take care of. And his mother's worried about him and the fact that he hasn't visited his sister in so long. But he says he has to go, and that's it, later that night. So he's on the bike before the transformation. I spend so much time on the bike these days, he thinks. I feel like I'm using it and the Ghost Rider as an escape. And in the process, I'm avoiding all the people in my life who care for me, especially Barb. But I feel weird talking to her while she lies there in her coma. So I like the way that Mackie is thinking out what the feelings of an 18-year-old boy would be in this kind of situation and with his sister in the hospital. I think he's really capturing that voice well. It doesn't feel in any way dated or hokey, the way that Danny's thinking about things. It feels spot on for an 18-year-old in 1990, in my opinion. And then the transformation happens. And the Ghost Rider there, I ride again, he says. Always the obvious with the Ghost Rider. But this particular shot here, this straight on shot, it's not very interesting, is it? And it really kind of conveys, like there's nothing wrong with it in terms of the drawing itself, but it just doesn't have the dynamism of any of the other shots of Ghost Rider on the bike where they're at an angle. And we'll see that, you can see it in the rest of the issue, how giving the angle really makes things more interesting to look at. So now we've an establishing shot here of the base of the World Trade Center, the Twin Towers, and the Punisher's war journal. The kid wasn't lying, he says. The yuppie tracks are barely cold, and Flag Smasher's crew has moved in. I told the Ghost Rider to meet me here. If he wanted in on this, he probably could have helped. Can't wait for him any longer. Ultimatum is supplying those kids with more weapons than some third world nations have access to. I've got to keep them contained to this section of the city. So here's the Punisher in his van. He's observing things. He's putting a magazine in his gun there. Look at the little sound effect snack. I like that. Interesting top-down angle here. There's explosives. there's ammo, there's rifles, all these kids and skinheads coming along and getting tooled up. It's relatively deserted. They won't be able to hurt anyone but themselves, says the Punisher. Think about this. He's intending to take on all of these with their machine guns and weapons. And really, he's not at all daunted by the fact that he's taken on maybe a few hundred of these tooled up teenagers, and that he's going to have to kill every single last one of them, including Flag Smasher's men. So Ultimatum 1 here to Flag Smasher 1, we have a go, repeat, we have a go. And this is really interesting. So at that moment, 11 dorsal fins cut through the black waters of upper New York Bay. So we see the Twin Towers there, and the Statue of Liberty over there, really nice shot, nicely coloured again by Greg Wright. We see the dorsal fins. This drunk is looking into the water and is surprised. I like this kind of this conveying and communicating that we're in the Marvel universe. So the drunk man says, "I hope it ain't them gill-breathing Atlanteans again. Lost my tour guide job last time they attacked, like it was my fault or something." That's nice stuff. I like that from Mackie. Kind of gives both a sense of real life in a way, and also life in the Marvel universe too. So it's Flag Smasher. O'Toole, Kremnick take the point. Larson, Huang pull up the rear. I want this to go by the numbers as planned. And it's interesting, like the surnames there, they're coming from all parts of the world. So Flag Smasher is an anarchist, has people from all over involved in his ideological war on the governments of the world. And his prime target now in this particular story is the US government. So here we get a nice little action scene of these sleds that can go underwater and can also fly. And he's continuing to give orders there. He's saying to one of his compatriots, "Our young anarchistic proteges should be well on their way to wreaking havoc. This will be the beginning of a worldwide movement to topple the governments of the world. We will continue to supply inner city youths throughout this country with the necessary tools to rise up against the capitalist institutions that provide the fuel for the government. But more is needed to overthrow this and other nations than acts of terrorism and revolution. We must cut the purse strings that hold them together, take away the paper and electronic money which symbolize its wealth, and the rest will follow. So, gentlemen, our first step toward the financial collapse of the United States is the erasing of the data banks kept on the computers of the Federal Reserve Bank." So that's their target there. What's so interesting, or a couple of interesting things, is there's a lot in common between Flag Smasher and Tyler Durden of Fight Club. That's pretty much Tyler Durden's aim as well in both the book and the film, even though it's not as on the nose, and the politics isn't as explicit in Fight Club as it is here in Mackie's writing of Flag Smasher. So, like the intellectual founder or originator of anarchy, like modern anarchism, is a Frenchman, Jean-Pierre Proudhon. So he kind of gives it the intellectual ideology, which is what Flag Smasher is espousing here. But at this time in 1990, as a comics reader, a young comics reader, the only anarchist that I knew in connection with comics was Alan Moore. Alan Moore's politics, his stated politics, his political position is anarchism. And just reading this makes me I'd just love to see a sit-down interview between Howard Mackie and Alan Moore. I think that would be a lot of fun. You could get the popcorn out for that one in terms of where those two guys sit on the political spectrum. But back to the story. Here are the youths all tooled up with the guns and ammo, and Flag Smasher's ultimatum. Compatriot here instructing them, you have the weapons Flag Smasher promised. The rest is up to you. You can do it. It is yours. Take it all. But Ghost Rider arrives. I love that shot there. We've got a reverse angle on the bike, and foreshortening too, and then the perspective lines on the sidewall and on the floor of the alleyway. It's really good stuff. So Ghost Rider says simply no, and ultimatum here surprised you. You survived the warehouse explosion. Ghost Rider continues, I will not let you turn more of these children into murderers. And ultimatum says, at heart, they already are, my friend. Show him, kill him. So they all come in around Ghost Rider, but he starts swinging the chain again, and the links come off it and hit the individuals. And yeah, knock them out. So they're knocked out cold before they can do any damage to Ghost Rider. Interesting layout again with the diagonal here, and also with the decision to put the gang into silhouette as well. That saves a little bit of time for the artists. And here we have, again, Flag Smasher's men targeting the Ghost Rider down a telescopic lens. A bullet through the cranium should show us what he's hiding behind that mask. A lot of people think that the Ghost Rider's flaming skull is a mask of some kind, a special effect. But of course, we the readers know better. Punisher comes into view. So obviously he had a motorbike in the back of his van, and he shoots down Flag Smasher's men, killing them. And he's there thinking, don't know exactly who or what this Ghost Rider is, but he doesn't seem like the type to send thank you notes. Doesn't matter. As long as he doesn't give me any reason to put him away, we'll get along just fine. So Punisher here hits one of these guys with the butt of the handgun he's holding, and he wants to question him. Ghost Rider comes over, and just as before, he gets in on the interrogation with his chain, and he says, or the guy on the ground says, kill me, I'm not afraid to die for the cause. Ghost Rider simply says, death will be a long time coming. So it's really, really great dialogue here. Humorous stuff. So then we see what's going on with the police there on the scene. You'd imagine they would get there. There's a SWAT team there. So some of the young gang members have been arrested. The cops see Ghost Rider and the Punisher, but they don't have the ability to go after them. Flag Smasher arrives on the sleds, starts taking out the police below, killing them there. So that's very violent stuff. But Punisher here with this massive gun, this chain gun here, takes out one of Flag Smasher's men on the sled. This is another really nicely laid out page. Again, for the action sequence, Javier Saltares going with these diagonal, slightly diagonal panels. It's an interesting decision in order to convey the dynamism of what's going on in the panels. I think it's a good little device. So Punisher there is saying, we've got to get them off those sleds. And he asks Ghost Rider, do you think that chain of yours can reach them? Ghost Rider, as ever, very laconically, just yes. So he sends off the links of the chain, takes out one of the sleds again, Kremnik is down, and what Flag Smasher has is he's got an EMP that he's going to use on the Federal Reserve Bank so as to knock out all the computers. That's the plan. Punisher here, as he's blasting away, says, I can't keep up with them on my bike, get them to Ghost Rider. So now we're going to see Ghost Rider in action on the bike again. Let's turn the page here. Yeah, again Saltares with the diagonal panels. It's really interesting. Look at the tilt on the bike there. He's whipping the chain around. We get a nice little procedural one here. Saltares very good cinematic storytelling. Grabs the chain goes right through the exhaust of one of the sleds. It ties up. So it must be under some kind of, it's almost like a telepathic, mystical control. Ghost Rider ties it around a lamppost there, pulls the guy right off the sled. Or the sled from under the guy, rather. Yeah, I really like that sequence, like the use of the speed lines as well. And again, Greg Wright's colours really selling the nighttime scene and the explosion. So Flag Smasher's down to one other guy that's keeping up with him. This is, this is brilliant. So Ghost Rider's bike there, he's riding on the face of a skyscraper building. That's really cool. Comes up, uses the chain again to send this guy off his sled, smashes into the ground. Now Flag Smasher's had enough. He lets rip with a missile there. And look at the way he's just dropping down on top of Ghost Rider. It's really, really good stuff. And then this is something that we never really expected. Looks like a direct hit. And it looks like the bike has been completely destroyed. So that's Flag Smasher there watching. Let's continue. Let's get on to the next couple of pages. Punisher here in his war journal. He blew up the bike. I was beginning to think it couldn't be done. Too bad for the Ghost Rider. Worse for Flag Smasher. Now, this is interesting because the way that things are going here in terms of the flow of the panels, you want to go here, but really you need to go over here. So sometimes, Saltares, I like his panel layouts, but he has a habit sometimes of doing this, which doesn't work. The eye wants to go here instead of here, but this is where we're supposed to go. Fool, exclaims Flag Smasher. Did you think your puny weapon could penetrate my body armor? It's the best that AIM could supply. So that's advanced idea mechanics. So Punisher here, dodging the blast, figured that they were wearing some sort of armor. Most of his men walked away from the sled crashes. Some heavy duty stuff, better than my Kevlar. So here's Ghost Rider on the ground. The bike is all destroyed, but he says, this vehicle cannot be destroyed. It is mine to command, and I command that vengeance be served. So he's off again. That's a really nice anchor image there of him on the reconstructed bike and going after Flag Smasher. Again, look at the tilted Dutch angle there. The little turn on the front wheel as well. Then he knocks Flag Smasher onto his backside there with the chain. And now he's got him for a penance there. And he says here, time for you to feel the pain that you've inflicted in the name of your cause. Feel your soul, your mind, and your body be torn asunder by my penance there. None of them in charge, all vying for control. This is anarchy. This is pain. So Punisher thinks it's a trick only, nice trick. Flag Smasher there is completely traumatized by the penance there. And Punisher here has a different perspective on what should be done with Flag Smasher. Impressive, he says, but he's a political fanatic. You're not going to stop him from going on with his fanaticism with your penance there. He'll shake it off and go back to killing in the name of his cause, turn kids into killers in the name of the cause. Anything for the cause, says the Punisher. So we have him here about to execute Flag Smasher. This is the only thing that's going to put an end to his violence, his cause. And Ghost Rider gets in the way. So this is proof that Ghost Rider is not a killer. Whatever he is, a spirit of vengeance. He gets a hold of Punisher's hand there, pulls it up. What's he going to say? Turn the page. Get past the advertisements here. He destroys Punisher's pistol there, cracks it, destroys it, and he says to Punisher, my cause is vengeance, not death. What cause do you serve? And in the Punisher's war journal, we learn his thoughts. I wasn't counting on a showdown with him, not today. And then the police arrive, and Ghost Rider says, very generously, get on. So Punisher gets back on the back of the bike. They evade the cops. This is really cool. Again, we've never seen something like this before. Ghost Rider riding the bike along the river there. Really good stuff. So the lads here think, that's enough for the night. Let's get some coffee. And there's a joke at the end. I mean, this was unexpected, the joke. So Punisher asks Ghost Rider, what are the chances that I can get one of these bikes? Ghost Rider's nothing to say in response. I thought so. That's funny. And there they are, heading off. Where would they be going? To Jersey, maybe? And there is the Statue of Liberty. So interesting little play there with the Statue of Liberty at the end in respect of who the villain was, Flag Smasher, and the anarchist ideology. Because of course anarchy, like the whole drive of the anarchist movement is about freedom from government, and having the Statue of Liberty there seems to be implying that freedom and government aren't mutually exclusive. I don't know, something like that. Next issue from the pages of Captain America and Iron Man, Scarecrow and the return of Blackout. So Blackout will be back with his mutilated face and out for revenge from Ghost Rider because he fancied himself handsome before Ghost Rider destroyed half his face. Letters page here, and there you go. I do hope that you enjoyed this review and commentary on Ghost Rider number 6, part 2 of 2. Let me know your thoughts on this one in the comments section. If you enjoyed my review and commentary, please like and share the video. It really does help the channel. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more content like this.